As always, a pleasure to have you here this afternoon here on The Pulse. And of course, you can get interactive with us via our social media handles because we are live on Facebook, we are live on X, formerly Twitter, we are live on YouTube, and of course, we are live on myjoyonline.com. Now, in exactly 3 months and 2 weeks, Ghanaians will line up at polling stations across the country to vote for a new president and 275 members of parliament to steer the affairs of the country for the next 4 years. Now, such elections have always been tense as political parties, particularly the NDC and the MPP, they are at each other's throat in one way or the other. In some instances, the elections have turned violent, with Ododio, Ayawaso West, Wogom, and many other areas fresh in our memories. This year, the stakes are high. Again, the NDC is declaring it will not sign the peace pact, citing inaction's lack of action on previous incidents. So will the election be peaceful, free, and fair? That's our discussion for today on The Pulse. We engage security and peace building think tank WAP, as well as election monitoring think tank Cordo. More importantly, we'd like to hear from you, the voter. What do you expect from the political parties in the area of peaceful polls? First, a background to how events have been building ahead of the elections. So, 2024 Peace Pact, so NDC, they've already made it clear that they only sign if certain conditions are met, and the conditions are 6 in all that the NDC put before the National Peace Council at a meeting yesterday at the NDC headquarters. So what are the conditions? First, the party is demanding the implementation of the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election recommendations. You know, a committee was set up to probe the violence, and the committee came up with some recommendations. The NDC is insisting, before they sign the peace pact, the full implementation of the Ayawaso West Wogom by-election recommendations. They are also insisting on the prosecution of perpetrators of the 2020 election violence. We remember the Techiman South issue where some people died. They are insisting on prosecution. They are also demanding accountability for ballot paper irregularities. According to them, some ballot papers were printed before the 2020 elections. They are of the view that nothing has been done in terms of bringing finality to that matter. And they are insisting on accountability for those ballot papers, the irregularities that they are raising. They are also demanding investigation to missing Electoral Commission IT equipments, the BVRs. The EC says that some people are in court and they are being questioned regarding the circumstances that led to the missing of the IT equipment. The NDC say that they want proper, a bipartisan investigation, if you like, conducted into this matter. They are also demanding a public commitment by the President of the Republic on the outcome of the 2024 election. In fact, they are insisting that President Akufo-Addo make a declaration that he will respect the will of the people in December when we have the election, and then the outcome he will respect and hand over to whoever is selected after the December 7th election. And then finally, the NDC says that President Akufo-Addo, the Inspector General of Police, the Chief Justice, the National Security Coordinator, and the Attorney General signed a peace pact. I mean, apart from what the political parties are expected to sign, they are also insisting that the President Akufo-Addo, the Inspector General of Police, the Chief Justice, National Security Coordinator, and the Attorney General sign a peace pact, also committing to same before they will sign. So these are the conditions the NDC put before the National Peace Council, insisting in the event that none of them is met, they will not sign the peace pact. The NDC not signing the peace pact may fuel tensions in the political atmosphere with far-reaching implications for the peace and security of our dear nation. This is the MPP's position on the decision taken by the MPP. Now the question is, has the peace pact been signed before? Of course, we know that since 2008, the National Peace Council, they've led this particular exercise, committing the political actor to sign peace pact ahead of elections since 2008. So at a news conference yesterday, the NDC set some conditions for signing on to the peace pact. Listen to its National Chair, Johnson Ketia, expert sheet on the 6 conditions.
Condition number 1 is that let us see full implementation of the recommendations of Ayawaso West Wogon commission of inquiry. We want to see prosecution initiated in respect of the illegal printing and handling of several, about 1 million extra ballot papers. We have not heard anything about it. We want action on it now. Otherwise, the next election, the same people can go and now print more than 2 million. The Electoral Commission has not been open to us. We suspect that the equipment is not missing, and they are being hidden for some unwholesome agenda. We have our confidence in the IT systems at the Electoral Commission has been shaken. And we want, point number 5, the president to declare openly on a state platform, not on his political party platform, that he will respect the will of the people as expressed by the outcome of the 2024 December election results. Finally, before any such document, Peace Pact is submitted to us for signature, we want to see the IGP signing to that document. We want to see the Chief Justice signing to that document. We want to see the Attorney General signing to that document. And we want to see the National Security Coordinator signing to that document. If all of them sign, and the monitoring group commits itself to the policy of naming and shaming publicly anybody who reneges on his obligation as far as implementation of the electoral laws of this country are concerned, we think that we will have the way forward.
So that's the NDC's position. The conditions are 6, and they are demanding that everyone is met before they will sign the 2024 Peace Pact. The Peace Council is planning to have this done before December. Now, they want to lie with the National Peace Council to convince all parties to commit to peace. They've been engaging stakeholders this morning, media, news editors, ahead of getting the political parties to agree with what they have on the table.
Some people keep telling us there cannot be peace when there is no justice, expecting the Peace Council to take on the role of cases that are even in the courts. Again, Act 818 does not give the Peace Council the power to prosecute anybody. Others have asked the Council, why are you not calling the executive to order? Forgetting that there are institutions like Parliament, the Council of State, and civil society organizations who have roles to play in that regard. The National Peace Council, therefore, is presumed by a section of Ghanaians to have powers above every institution in this country, and therefore should be able to pronounce on every matter. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Our mandate is to mediate through dialogue. We only have our mouth and nothing else, unless Act 818 is amended. We have therefore gathered those of you present here who control the information and media houses to put into the public, media houses and put information in the public domain, to first be adequately informed so that we can help your organizations and our organizations to function effectively within the space we occupy and educate the general public appropriately to sustain the peace we are all enjoying. Hate speech, misinformation, and disinformation has become widespread in recent times, particularly with the online news platforms and on social media. As we gear up for this year's election, the need to tackle the spread of false information and manipulative narratives has never been more pressing. And this is where editors, you are mostly needed to manage the information that gets to the public domain. Misinformation has become a weapon in the world of politics, capable of influencing public opinion and potentially swaying election outcomes, but they can also lead to war. The 2020 elections were no exception, as false narratives and misleading content spread like wildfire. The consequences of these actions cannot be underestimated. One of the most significant impacts of misinformation on the election process is the erosion of trust in the democratic system. When voters are bombarded with false information, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to make informed decisions. This undermines the very foundation of democracy and leaves voters feeling disillusioned and manipulated.
So we have a conversation this afternoon on this matter. I mean, peace is crucial for the development of this country. Now we have an election coming up, stakes so high that the peace the country is enjoying now could be compromised if things are not done right. And this afternoon we want to engage those who have been those who know so much about this matter. Albert Kofin is National Coordinator, Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, Dr. Festus Kofi Orben, Regional Coordinator, Research and Capacity Building at the West African Network for Peace Building. If you're watching us and feel strongly about the development, you can leave your send us WhatsApp only on 0244-638-629. That's 0244-638-629, and we'll be glad to share your comments with our viewers. So let me start with Dr. Orben. Dr. Orben, good afternoon. Welcome to the Pulse. Should we be so much worried about peace as we head towards it? We've been at this since 1992, and in the run-up to every election, peace become a major issue. We are yet to get to the stage where we will say that the election has, degenerated into chaos or instability in the country. We are yet to see that. We've been practicing democracy for over 30 years in the country. Why should peace be a concern for the Republic as we head towards another election?
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you also for having me. Yes, I think every country needs peace to develop. And like you rightly pointed out, from 1992 up to today, almost every election comes with its own peculiarities and its own context. And if you look at the 2024 elections, it has certain features that the previous elections didn't have. One of them is the contestants who are contesting this election. Their religious affiliation and also where they are coming from. And also some of the pronouncements that the parties have made with respect to the outcome of the elections. And also looking at our neighboring countries, what is also happening around us. So it raises the stakes, high, and also the influence of social media. 1992, 96, social media was not so prevalent like we have today.
Right.
So the issues keep on intensifying and changing in scope in every election. And that is why we have to be very mindful about ensuring that we sustain the peace that we are enjoying in the country and ensure that we, nothing untoward, happen to the kind of stability that we are enjoying in this country.
All right, those are initial comments. So let me also go on the phone and speak to Mr. Albert Kofin. He's the National Coordinator of the Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, and he also joins me on the line. Mr. Ahen, good afternoon and welcome to the Pulse. I asked Dr. Orben a question. We've been at this since 1992. We've been doing this for about 30 years now. The question is, we've always been talking about peace, the need to preserve the peace of the country. We've never gotten to a stage where we will say that this election brought us this. So the question is, why should we be so much concerned about peace and preserving it in 2024?
Yeah, you and I know, my brother. Anyway, good afternoon to your listeners in the first place. Without peace, I think you are aware, no country can exist and be able to advance in terms of development and other issues. There should always be peace in the country before the people or the inhabitants will be able to have that peace of mind to be able to develop. So we need it. At every point in time, a country needs peace. Okay? You need peace for workers to go about their duties. Everybody in this country needs peace so that we can go about our normal duties in a very calm atmosphere. That is the first thing we should be aiming at.
But the question is a country in a state where the preaching of peace becomes so paramount that we need to reinforce it every minute? Are we not overemphasizing on it?
Yeah, from what is going on right now, especially the election is approaching. We have about, I think, 3 months, or is it 4 months? And the utterances that are coming out, I've had the occasion once to appeal to the Peace Council to start talking so that these threats that are coming every other time can be nipped in the bud before we get into the actual process itself.
Right.
You see, you were aware of I don't know whether it was this morning or was it yesterday, that the major opposition party, for example, is saying that they wouldn't want to sign the peace pact.
In fact, it is the very reason we are having this conversation.
If they don't want to sign the peace pact, what does it entail? It tells you that all is not well. You see, so it means that we should go down to work on it, make sure that everybody is satisfied. All the parties go into this election having a focus on peace so that we can develop.
The Peace Council attempts to get a party to commit to a peace pact. Now, the NDC, they say that we only do so if you meet these conditions. And they've made it clear, 6 of them, including the fact that there should be prosecution of those who were involved in violence that were reported in the last election that led to the death of some other people. A declaration by President Akufo that he will respect the outcome of the elections in 2024. And then the IGP, the National Development Commission, and some identifiable groups to sign also onto the peace pact. Is the NDC, do you see this as an entrenched position, or they have a very good reason to be insisting on these conditions?
Yes, much as I don't like the position, it is not too good for this to come from them. But I believe you also will agree with me that where they are coming from, they have a point. In the sense that there are certain issues that have not been resolved completely. You know, if you go back to the last election, for example, those who were unfortunate to have been murdered, those who were killed, the issue has not been settled yet. You see, and I believe the NDC is coming from that point of view. I read the 6 points that they raised. They are even talking about the
amazing BVR
idea of
right. So,
I've forgotten this.
So they are talking about
Sorry.
amazing BVR. They claim that in 2020, some people undertook there was some ballots were overprinted and they don't know the outcome of it.
That's right. They printed about 1 million ballots here and there. You know, I don't know how far that is true, but all I'm trying to say is that there are certain outstanding issues that have to be settled. If not completely settled, at least there should be some kind of promise to the NDC to show some way that these things will be tackled, explanations given, so that they'll be happy with it. But you see, it's like we are going into an election where there are unresolved issues, and I'm sure that is the more reason why they are trying to refuse not to sign. But I believe all of us, CSOs, NGOs, the Peace Council, will need to come in and talk so that even if the issues cannot be resolved completely, the NDC can go into the election with an assurance. And the word here is an assurance that all shall be well. In fact, that is more reason why I'm sure they're asking for the IGP to have a signature on it, and so forth and so on. It's all the assurance they need. You see, as of now, I'm not too sure whether we can go back and resolve the issues, for example, about the 8 people who were killed. That cannot be done. It cannot be resolved before the election. So there has to be a compromise of a sort so that the country can have peace and we can go into the election assured of the fact that we're going to have a peaceful election. That is my view, and the view of, I think, most of my Codeo counterparts as well.
I have Dr. Albin from WAP in the studio. I will come to him shortly. I just want to ask this question so that I can let him also come in with his talks on the issue of the unresolved murders that took place in the last election. But when the NDC makes the point that the missing BVR should be a condition before they sign the peace pact, the EC says that those who were responsible are already in court facing prosecution. Why should the NDC continue to highlight this matter, knowing very well that a court of competent jurisdiction is handling this matter?
Yeah, as for that one, once it is in court, all you can do is to appeal to them to expedite action on it. You cannot force that issue to its logical conclusion now. So maybe that is too far-fetched. But the others, like even the people who were killed, if the issue is in court and they are dealing with it.
In fact, it is in court.
Of course, justice, goes slowly, but eventually it will be resolved. So all that we need to do is to assure them that they should not worry, these things will be resolved, and maybe an assurance also that in future these things are not going to happen, so that at least they will go into the election on the conviction or on the assurance that, yes, we are now very certain that if anything happens, an investigation will take place, they will do this, they will do that, so that we shall have peace. Otherwise, it's like you do me, I do you kind of situation.
Right, Ms. Ayen, kindly hold it for me. I'll come back to you to ask you the way forward now that there appears to be an entrenched position taken by the NDC and what this will do for our election going forward. But let me bring in Dr. So, Dr. Albin, from where you sit, from one position, I mean, you've been monitoring the situation. What information or what signal are you getting from the ground? Are we going into an election that peace should be so paramount?
Yes, of course. I mean, if you look at the early warning signals or the early warning information that we are getting, you could find out that some of the issues that came up in the previous elections are repeating, but also changing in terms of dynamics, and then also some of the positions that the parties have also taken, very entrenched positions, and also some of the public utterances and also issues around hate speeches and all that. And I mean, if you look at some of the issues that have been raised by the NDC, when we met them yesterday, because I was also in that
meeting. Okay.
Yeah, because that meeting was not actually the Peace Council as an organization meeting the NDC. It's the Code of Conduct on the Committee on the Code of Conduct on the Vigilantism and other related offenses, which I'm part of, made up of different organizations. So the idea was to meet the NDC, they will meet the MPP, and then meet the other political parties. Yeah, so I think that some of the issues that they've raised are some of the issues that also poses a threat to the election, especially some of the issues that are going to be very difficult to resolve because of the timing of some of the issues that they are raising. But I think that some of the things that the 6 point that they made, some of them are doable.
Like?
Especially having the IGP, the Chief Justice and others being signatories to the Peace Pact. And they provided the reason why, that the political actors don't have the power to prosecute any electoral offenses. These are the actors, so they should also be committed what I think is fair can be done.
But why should they be part? When I mean, laws have been made to govern some of these issues. Yes. And so you don't really need their commitment on paper before they do their work.
So the reason that, if I understand the chair, it provided was that there have been some of these offenses happening in the past, and nothing has been done to them by these agencies. That's the police, the Chief Justice, and others. And so instead of only the political actors putting their signature and committing to peace, they want them to also put their signatures that if somebody kills a voter, or if anything happens in the polling stations, you will also perform your duty as mandated by the Constitution. And I think that with this, I mean, the NPC and other stakeholders could engage those organizations to see how we, bring them also, also on board. But there are, of course, some of the issues that are very difficult, especially the Ayawaso Committee reports. You know, there are many of those recommendations. Some are structural in nature, some are operational. And I believe some of the recommendations have or might have been implemented. You know, so some of them, it will take time for you to address them, especially the structural issues. And so there has to be a compromise on some of those issues, because the timing is also very paramount. We don't have enough time between now
and December.
And December. You know, so there definitely has to be a compromise. And that is why I think, for me, it's an opportunity for the NPC and also the other actors to engage the political parties, the government, and also the police, the Chief Justice, and all the actors who are involved in this, the Electoral Commission, to see the way forward and have a compromise a position that will inure to the benefit of the entire country.
There's an issue there are two conditions that relate to the Electoral Commission.
Yeah.
One about the claim that there were overprinting of ballots in 2020, and then the missing BVR. The EC time has explained that the matter is before court.
Yeah.
And that even the machine will have no effects on the conduct of the 2024 elections. Is the NDC being overly difficult in this instance?
I think that I don't know why the NDC is still insisting on that. Perhaps, maybe there's some information gap somewhere that perhaps the EC need to provide that assurance, especially with those who are being prosecuted for the printing of the ballot papers. Perhaps we need to look at where the case, the status of the case at the moment, to give that assurance to the NDC, and also the other matters about the BVR equipment. I mean, to provide that assurance that indeed there's nothing untoward, or there's nothing that those missing equipment are going to be useful for the election, because that is the NDC's suspicion when we met them yesterday. So I think that they need that firm assurance and persuasion that indeed there's nothing, that the EC is planning by using those equipment, or any officials of the EC are not going to use those equipment to influence, the electoral.
Yes, I'll come back to talk about whether you think that, this concern of the EC sits in the overall concern that the issue should be fair and transparent in the conduct of the, and whether you think that in the run-up to the 2024, with the way the EC have conducted itself, you have every reason to believe that they will be fair, just, or they will deviate from their mandate. I'll come back to ask you on that. Okay. But let me again bring in Mr. Ahim. So, Mr. Ahim, in the event that the NDC stand their grounds and say that we will not sign, to what extent will that have an effect on the 2024 elections?
Yes, it will definitely have an effect, in the sense that, you see, it's like saying that people have acted with impunity and nothing has happened. So if people, for example, can kill during the last election then of course it also tells you that, okay, let's also go in there. Whenever there's a problem, maybe you will not let the court or even let anybody resolve it. We shall resolve it ourselves. You see, I think with time, we don't have time on our hands, but what is going to happen is that, or what I think should happen is that the police, for example, should come out and tell the nation how far they have reached with their investigation with regards to the 8 people who were killed, and then about this ballot thing that you were talking about. And then again, about the Ayawaso West Wagon report, if it can be made fully public for people to know exactly what happened, what were the recommendations, and so forth and so on. I'm sure when these things are laid bare, Ghanaians are told exactly where they have reached in investigations so far. The NDC will really, for example, go along with everybody, sign the peace pact, and then Ghana gets its peace. They are bringing in the IGP because they think that IGP should be part of that process so that he can always make sure the law is enforced. They are bringing in the Attorney General because they think that when it goes to court, it must be resolved quickly or whatever. You see, so let us see where we have reached or where we've gone so far with the investigations that are pending. And then the country is assured that this is what is going on, this is where we have reached, and then we will continue. And then even if it's possible, give a timeline by which all these problems will be resolved. I'm sure the NDC will then realize that, no, there is some seriousness attached to this issue, so let's go along with it. They also need peace. The NDC also needs peace. Everybody needs peace in this country. If you win an election and you don't have peace, you can't govern it.
Yes.
So we all need peace, brother.
But Mr. Hein, I mean, the first peace pact was signed in 2008. So every election year we've had this. I mean, the last one was in 2020. But every election, had its own set of violence. So if we want to count a number of people who've died in election-related issues, it will go beyond the 8 that was recorded in 2020. The question is, in an environment where we have had all the political parties sign on to a peace pact, we've always witnessed political violence. So the peace pact itself cannot be the yardstick to measure how successful we will be in terms of maintaining peace or not. It's about the conduct of the actors in the game. So how can a document in itself be so binding that people will respect it?
The document in itself cannot assure us of peace. That one I agree with you totally. But you see, when people commit crime, when people during elections do things with impunity and they are not punished, that is where we have the problem. But as soon as people are punished immediately after committing the crime, it sets a precedent. If we had been doing that over time, I'm not sure we would have gotten to this particular where we are now, to this stage where we are. Let us punish crime. Let us make sure that during elections, when people take, for example, the ballot box and run away with it and we catch them, let us make sure the law works. We have not been making the law to work, and that is exactly why people always, from election to election, they commit atrocities. Let us punish. If we punish, it will serve as a deterrent so that we don't revisit these issues every now and then.
But before I let you go, I mean, at the center of all of this is the role that the referee will play in the elections. Everybody is asking the Electoral Commission to be transparent, to be fair to all the political parties before, during, and after the elections. The EC, since they started their program towards the 2024 election, will you say, as a keen observer of their work, that the EC has been free and fair, such that we'll go into December and the outcome will be respected by all, regardless of how the parties will fare?
That's very true. I think the EC is going to be fair. The EC is going to be fair in the sense that, you see, let us look at what the EC does. If we have observed carefully, every time the EC embarks on a program, be it registration, be it nomination or whatever, they are always carrying along the stakeholders. You see, this is done because at every stage of the process, you can verify.
Right.
I've always said that every stage of our election process in this country is verifiable. So that if it is going wrong, you can bring it back, you can correct it, you can call the attention. So that the EC itself knows that he who goes to equity must go with clean hands. So if they want the parties to work and work well, so that we can have a peaceful election, we can have an election devoid of crisis here and there, they have to play their cards well.
So if that is so, if
I'm
that is
sure
so,
whatever they want to do to party A, they would want to do same to party B.
Mr. Ahen, if that is so, then will you say that sometimes the political parties simply just took fire unnecessarily?
The political parties do what?
I'm just following up on your comments about the fact that the EC has been fair, then there's always
and going along with them.
There's always a way to test the system and to verify
no,
things.
That does not mean that if you are going along with them, you are always right. No.
And I'm saying that sometimes...
That is why, for example, you are saying that the EC is being taken to task for the missing BVRs or the DVDs or whatever. You see, they go along with them so that they can draw their attention to anomalies, to problems or to mistakes that they will make.
But yes, and I'm saying that sometimes you look at some of the political parties and they look at every step taken by the Electoral Commission with suspicion. And that
is the danger.
Yes,
that is the danger.
And will you say that sometimes they are just deliberate about these things just to pitch the Electoral Commission against their supporters?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. You see, one thing that I always have been telling parties is that let us have some kind of belief. Let us trust the commission. You see, the moment you have it at the back of your mind that they are always there to cheat, everything they do, you are going to challenge it.
Right.
You see, so let us give that respect to them. But, of course, making sure that they are transparent. The transparency is the word. Transparency is the word. You see, so where the issue is going wrong, quickly they should draw their attention, like they've been doing. When these BVRs were missing, the attention was drawn. The EC said they didn't mean any harm. They cannot do anything with it. So it's like they don't even fear that anything untoward might happen to them.
Yeah.
It's gone to court. It's only for the court to expedite action on this to prove either the EC wrong or right.
All right.
You see, that is it.
All right. Mr. Ahen, thank you so much for your contribution on this.
It's a pleasure, my brother.
Very important subject. Let me come back to the studio. And very soon, I'll allow you to also come in to share your concerns with us as we seek to build peace ahead of the December 7th general elections. And you think if the NDC position, do you think it is a right call? The conditions that they have put on the table, is it something that should be addressed before they sign on or they are just, blowing hot and cold at the same time? The same party saying that they are in for peace. Dr. Robin, so what signals are you picking? Let's broaden the discussion. We have some few months to the elections. You've been monitoring across the country. What signal are you picking? So
one of the things that poses a great danger to the elections is the issue of mistrust of key institutions of state. And here I'm talking about the Electoral Commission, I'm talking about the police, and also the judiciary. And I think in most of the data that we've collected, this issue keep on coming, especially for the Electoral Commission by the political parties.
There's mistrust in the Electoral Commission.
Yes. Most of the data that we get, that issue always comes up. And I think it's one of the major things that we need to look at. And that is why the Electoral Commission is very key in terms of having a peaceful election and ensuring that the process is fair, credible, and the outcome accepted by all the parties. The issue of hate speech, the use of intemperate language, and some of the political rhetorics by leading members of the opposition and also of the ruling NPP has also come out very strongly, you know, and when those pronouncements are made, people interpret it differently, especially their support base, you know, and when it also takes different dimensions, it becomes also problematic. So that is also one of the issues that has also come, I mean, to the fore, as well as also issues relating to some of the pronouncement also by the leading, I mean, figures of the two main political.
Well, let me just announce this phone line. I mean, we want to bring you into the discussion, our viewers, and the voter. You'll be heading to the polls in December. Are you afraid for your life? Do you think that the country is in the state of war, or this preaching about peace is overhyped? You can call us and tell us your concern. The number is 030-221-1691. That's 030-221-1691, and we'll be glad to hear your comments as we seek to build peace ahead of the elections. But again, I'm concerned about Ghana because we are in a region where, you know, extremist activities is almost all around us.
Yeah.
Are they looking at our elections to say that there is a loophole we can exploit to destabilize Ghana?
Well, if you look at the root causes of violent extremism, I mean, they are, a lot of the time, they are structural in nature. They are issues that has to do with governance, issues that has to do with development and all that. So in terms of elections, which is also a governance, I mean, issue, I don't think that is the only, I mean, denominator in terms of how they can infiltrate into our system. It's our governance structures and the weaknesses and the structural fault lines.
But in the event that the election brings about chaos, it provides,
of course,
it provides that opportunity.
Because if you look at the sub-region, especially if you look at the Sahel, and if you look at the trends and the patterns of extremism, you could see that there's a gradual expansion towards the coastal state of West Africa. And so if you look at the coastal region, it's only Ghana that is yet to experience any physical attack. Togo has experienced, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, you know, so it shows that these extremist groups have an agenda,
right,
of I mean, expanding to all these areas. And so any opportunity for them to infiltrate, certainly they will infiltrate the system. But I think that the elections well present an opening if it doesn't go as planned, but it is not one of the major, I mean, considerations for those extremist groups.
All right. And again, the issue about vigilantism.
Yes.
I know that we all know that there's a law that has outlawed it.
Yeah.
And you have been engaging the political parties. Is it really to get them to respect the content of the law? Are you picking any signal that in December, the parties will still go to the polls with their own set of security personnel? Yes.
So one of the things that we are doing is engaging the parties to respect the provisions in the law, and also some of the agreement that they reached when the law was passed. And one of the things we've seen that although the political parties, some still have these vigilante groups, they don't call them vigilante groups, but they've taken on new names.
All manner of names.
Yes, new names and all that. But if you look at the activities and all that, it mimic that of the vigilante groups. And so we've been engaging, our plan is to engage the parties to make sure that the provisions in the Act that they all sign on to are respected. But, you know, sometimes it's very difficult because of also some of the mistrust that they have within the security agencies.
Right.
So it's one of the things that we are also engaging the National Election Security Task Force to also see how they also ensure that they meet the security demands of the political parties to prevent the involvement of some of these groups.
All right. Let me run through some text messages that have come through on this discussion. And again, if you want to call, the number is on your screen. You can give us a call and tell us what you think of this matter of peace ahead of the December 7th general election. So, good afternoon, by His Grace. There will be peace during the 2024 election. To me, the NDC is already seeing the defeats coming. Somebody also says that there will be peace if they stop over militarization of the military. That's the politicization of the military, and fairness in dealing with all violent cases at polling centers. Overall, our political actors must be minded of their utterances if they mount a party platform. And this is coming from Achim Krachi at Asokori in the Ashanti region. Good afternoon, please. My question is, why should we use an incident which no one can confirm its victim to be only NDC people, yet it's being used to threaten our peace in Ghana? NDC is not for Ghana. Good afternoon to you and your viewers. Slowly, there will be peace during and even after the general elections, because the NDC is only doing what we expect of them as an opposition party and nothing else. This is coming from Bazua from Gushegu in the northern region. And by the way, Kelvin from Adum Kumasi, I would like to state emphatically that the NDC people themselves have realized the need for them to have come out with a new candidate altogether instead of John Mahama. So they've already lost every vision of the day, going in their favor, and that's how come they are already sounding the defeatist alarm. And then, let me bring in Musa before I continue with my text message. Musa, good afternoon and welcome to the pause. Is peace really a big issue ahead of the elections?
Good afternoon.
Yes, Musa, please go on.
I'm calling from Nima.
Right.
To the question as to whether there will be peace, yes, I believe there will be absolute peace before, during, and after the election. But the issue here is that I don't think that the NDC is asking for too much. All the conditions that the NDC has stated before it will sign onto that pact is going to inure to the benefit of every single party. The NDC is not saying that do this so that it goes to benefit only NDC. No. The NDC is saying that if an NDC person commits, name and shame. If PNC commits, name and shame. If NPP commits, name and shame. So that we will all know that we are going into this election for the winner to emerge fair and square. So for me, I think that we should all support the NDC. If we don't have any evil intentions, we should not have problems with what the NDC is requesting.
Right.
May God bless Ghana.
Thank you very much, Musa, for your contribution. Let me cross over to Fatal. Fatal, good afternoon. Welcome to the pulse.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, let's hear you.
Let me say good afternoon to you, your cherished viewers, and then to your guests over there. We are most grateful for this program. And then let me just, my brother who has just left, I just want to stamp on what he has said. I've endorsed it. Look, NDC is not asking for too much. What we're saying, NDC is saying is that they should make a playground for everybody. What has happened at the Ayawasu Wagon is just something that was very painful. And we don't want that thing to happen again. So for instance, if they accept all these things, for instance, one of your scholars, the one where the one you scored, for that one, I understand him with regards to the Ayawasu West Wagon.
Yes. Because
for that one, it will be difficult to implement at the moment. But coming to bringing in RGP and then the other stakeholders to start, that one, they can do it. What are they afraid to do? This one is simple, they can do it. So they should implement those ones that they can do it now, and then maybe in the future they can address those ones. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fatal, for your contribution. Good evening, Elton and the team at Pulse. The peace accord we signed in 2020 couldn't guarantee a peaceful election, and citizens lost their lives even though the peace accord was signed. What is the guarantee that the mere signing of a peace pact would ensure a deaf and violent-free elections? This is coming from Papo in Kranza South. And again, the demand by the NDC are designed to ensure transparent election. Those that desire the same end should not see anything wrong with what the NDC is pursuing. Another tester also in there. Bernard from Tamale, good afternoon. Welcome to the pause.
Good afternoon, Elton.
Then we have you. Please go on.
Yes. Yes, the concern of peace shouldn't be limited to NDC. This elections is going to be a crucial election that everybody is aware. And so if NDC raise an issue, I don't think the issue NDC is raising is going to affect only NDC members.
Yes.
Those people who were killed, who knows, maybe most of them were not NDC members. But there were people who drummed for peace, who called for peace, have been very silent when NDC... Look, this demand NDC is demanding. It hasn't started today. Anytime on any of these issues occurred, NDC called for a press conference and indicated clearly on these issues, on countless occasions. But the people who drum for peace will wait. When it is time for elections, then they will come up with this peace pact. When NDC comes out with their this, I don't know why it seems like everybody is fighting NDC now. And so what I will say is that we should be fair in our dealings with all the parties. NDC is a major stakeholder in these elections, and we can't do anything and take NDC off. And I don't think NDC is fighting anybody. People who think that everything they can use force to do it and get away with the security agencies and everything. NDC is saying that they won't keep quiet for that to happen this time around. And so what is different, what is difficult about this? Putting pen on paper has nothing to do with peace. Right, so let's focus on what will bring us a peace, rather than condemning NDC and whatever they are saying. The people who want peace should focus and deal with issues that NDC are raising now.
All right,
and make sure that the peace reigns.
I appreciate your time very much. Thank you very much, Bernard from Tamale. And let me wrap up on these few text messages, and then let me bring it to Albin as we conclude on this subject. Okran from Ahanta West says, I totally agree with the stance that has been taken by the NDC, because if people have died in the last election and then there's been no action, the NDC has every right to say that something must be done before they sign another one. And then also Innocent from Aflau says, I'm also in support of the NDC decision for not signing the peace pact. So, Dr. Oben, as we wrap up on this matter, so this roadshow you've undertaken on the anti-vigilantism law, you want all the parties to do what exactly? So
the law prohibits, or disbands the vigilante activities, which the parties publicly, I think, disbanded.
Right.
Those groups, but like I said, we see that they have also evolved into different names and also different activities.
So there's a likelihood that this election we will find people who will describe themselves as protecting the ballot on behalf of one party or the other.
Well, there's a potential, and that is why the Code of Conduct Committee was established, to make sure that we press on the political parties, because the provisions in the Act and the action points that were developed, it was the parties themselves who came together to put this together. And so for them to respect the provisions in the Act so that we don't experience some of the violent activities that we saw some of these groups orchestrating in the 2016 elections. And I think in 2020, we saw a reduction, complete reduction of the activities of these groups. Maybe people have attributed it to the COVID-19 and others, but I think that if you look at some of the public pronouncements of the political parties, we need to engage them to address some of these concerns they have, not only for the EC, but also for the security agency, because one of the reasons why they rely on this group is the issue of mistrust.
Right.
So how do we assure the parties? How can the police also assure the parties that they are there to provide the needed security without favoring any of the political...
So the code is ready, and they have it?
Oh, yes. Yes, they all have it. They all have it. In fact, in the committee, we have a representation of the MPP, and then we have a representation of the NDC, and then we have a representation of the political parties. Because the idea is to ensure that we have a multi-stakeholder approach in dealing with the problem. And that was one of the reasons why the committee went to the NDC headquarters yesterday to meet with the party to discuss some of the issues within the code of conduct. So it's not resting there. The committee is going to meet the New Patriotic Party also, and also meet the smaller political parties, so that we can engage together to see the way forward in terms of addressing some of the concerns that they have towards the election.
Let's leave it here. I'm sure this discussion will pick it up again. Dr. Albin from WAP, thanks so much for your time. But I will stay with WAP because the newly appointed Executive Director of the West African Network for Peace Building, Lavinia Adai-Mensah, is urging stakeholders to address concerns causing the NDC to reconsider signing a peace declaration ahead of the December election. Speaking at the Alisa Hotel Tuesday evening after becoming the first female executive director of the peace building think tank in a 25-year history, she emphasized the importance of understanding the concerns of the NDC regarding the signing of a peace pact. She urged stakeholders to engage not only the top brass of both parties, but also the grassroots.
West Africa Network for Peace Building, WAP, is a leading regional peace building organization founded in 1998 in response to civil wars that plagued West Africa in the 1990s. WAP places special focus on collaborative approaches to conflict prevention and peace building, working with diverse actors from civil society, government, intergovernmental bodies, and more. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, former Executive Director Chukwumeka Egze said he was proud of what the organization achieved during his tenure. He is optimistic the new Executive Director will take the organization to another height.
It is also significant and historic to add that for the first time of the existence of WAP, we welcome a female Executive Director at the time the regional board is chaired by a female. A feat both achieved not because they are women, but because they are extraordinarily qualified to provide leadership in WAP at this moment. In 2022, WAP unveiled its Research and Documentation Center, ushering us to the next generation era of peace building practice. In 2003, WAP instituted the innovative Youth Transformational Empowerment and Mentoring Program to groom a new generation of youth peace builders capable of driving transformational changes and sustainable peace in their communities.
Lavinia Adai-Mensah becomes the first female director of WAP in its 25-year history. She says the future is bright for WAP.
Today, as I accept to assume the role of Executive Director, I am acutely aware of the legacies of my predecessors. This task is truly daunting. But I am motivated by the opportunities for new learning and self-discovery that this new season offers. I am encouraged by the strong foundations laid by my predecessors.
In an interview with Joy News, she said it's important to understand the concerns of the NDC regarding the signing of a peace pact, urging stakeholders not to only engage the top brass of both parties, but the grassroots too.
I believe that there were things that were done in 2020 and previous years that got them to sign the peace pact. And I think there must have been a certain level of belief in the value of that peace pact. I'm not sure that it's completely eroded. That belief is completely eroded. I think it's important that in any form of engagement with these parties, that we recognize the positions they are coming from, but also continue to leverage on the goodwill that I believe exists at all levels, and really use that as the rallying point of getting positions to shift around some of these things. I think it's important that we talk about the concerns for which there are hesitations around signing a peace pact. But I want to believe that there's an overriding and overarching willpower to really see constructivism, and that will help hopefully lead us to sign that peace pact.
Former Executive Director of WAP, Emmanuel Bombandi, expressed confidence in ability to deliver.
I could never have imagined that when you talk about WAP 25 years, West Africa will be in the situation it is today. Because we never dreamed that West Africa would be in. We thought we had turned the curve. and we had left the conflicts of the 90s and 2000s behind. But now we are confronted with new sets of challenges.
Speaking on the sidelines of the event, Emmanuel Bombande backed NDC chairman Johnson Esidu Nketiah's position regarding the signing of a peace pact ahead of the December elections, urging the Peace Council to call out individuals like Brian Champon by name.
The chair of the National Democratic Congress has a point. Peace is not about pacification. Peace is about justice. And that's why we say another name for peace is justice. So what we need to do is to hold not only political actors, and that's why I don't want to look at it as NPP or NDC. I want to look at it as individuals who must be held accountable. Honorable Brian Achampong, 3 times he talks about not handing over, and he repeats it each time by doubling down. The last one was that you can bend the sea, and none of his party people has come out to contradict him. So what are we talking about? So we must have the courage to call individuals to account, and that's why I'm happy with my Lord Bishop Matthew of the Diocese of Sunyani, who is the president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference. He called him out. Everybody who is a conscience of society should do that.
There were solidarity messages from WANEP's partners. Yes, Chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujimfi.
He shared with us in our post-election review, in a post-election conference. And from that time up to now, we have worked closely. And I want to say on behalf of the National Peace Council, we're very grateful for the contribution that you've made to the work that we do to make our country peaceful. May the Lord bless you in your new journey and prosper you as you go along. Thank you very much.
And we'll stay a little longer on political related issues because headquarters, known popularly as Kaya in Accra, are speaking about their terrifying experiences as victims of rape. Driven from the north by poverty, these young girls face not only harsh living conditions, but also the constant threat of sexual violence. Struggling to survive while sleeping outdoors due to unaffordable rent, they are frequently targeted by predators who exploit their vulnerable situation. In their plea for help, they are demanding that political parties address their plight by creating job opportunities and improving conditions in the north, hoping to prevent others from facing similar dangers. Listen to some of them as they speak to my colleague Lois Shola Adeyemi.
Sleep outside, and the truck boys or the foolish guys, they will come and rape you. And if they rape you and you are pregnant, where will you get money to even go and do? How to even get food and eat is a problem for you.
Let me come to you, Arama. Is that the same? Have you experienced it yourself?
Yes. I was having a friend I was living with, but because I don't have money, they sacked me. I was sleeping outside. One day they tried to rape me, but I escaped.
I used my pan as a room. I sat on my pan and I used my cloth to cover myself. As if that I'm sleeping, but I'm not sleeping. My waist, I'm just scared. I just feel pains on my body, but I use that place that place is my house. So when I'm doing that, I sat there when it was night. I see some people come around me. I don't know what they are there for because I'm only one girl there. When I see the boys there, I think that they want to do me something, and I'm afraid that when I just see them, I'm afraid. I'll just get up and I'm walking over there to someone over them. So when I'm calling the person name, I just walk out. When I just get them, when I get some space there, I run away and leave my pan and leave my everything there because I'm afraid what they are thinking to do to me is no good. I know that if not they want to kill me, it's like they want to rape me because I'm afraid. I lost my pan. How to get it to is difficult for me.
Right. So from the conversation we've had so far, it looks like none of us wants to be Kayayos. We wish that we were going to school. Even if not school, we wish we had better job opportunities. So I'm going to come to all of us to find out how can we be helped?
The government to provide some works at our place so that we will not come here to come and be doing the Kayayo again.
They have introduced 2 hostels for Kayayes, and they are also training over 5,000 people. They've started with 500. Isn't that good news for you? And does that work, or do you still want more?
We still want more. They should create jobs so that if you are not going to school, you can be employed there doing small so that you get some money.
We want job. We really want it. But some of us too, we want to further our education and we want to be Maybe nurse, and we will look, we will take care of our parents.
And of course, this is a pause here on Joy News. We'll take a short break. When we'll come back, I'll tell you why Ghana is set to pay $194 million in judgment debt. Stay right for the details.